Come on.
So where are we going to begin in the Cornerstones to Confidence? Well, where we begin is this idea of voice. You have a voice. Now, when I say the word voice, what do I mean? What I mean is this. I define voice as this. Every speaker has an individual and distinct sound to their voice that is linked to their soul, not their style. This is about you, your story, your life, the sound of your life amplifying far beyond you just being good at, doing a presentation or doing a talk. Anyone can get better at public speaking, but no one can get better at being you. Where you start in knowing how to build confidence through what you're saying, in what you're saying, and in other people is to be clear what your voice is. Now, I have 2 little kids, and they're often doing wonderfully cheeky but naughty things. Now, usually when I'm telling them off, I have this deep voice, like, "Don't lick the plug socket. Hey, come here, you." Like a really deep voice. When I'm playing with them, I'm like doing weird, like scary voices, like when we're imagining characters. There's a different style to my. But I'm still the same me. I'm still dad. I'm still daddy. I'm still Ben. And that's the point of starting with voice together, is that you might be someone who speaks in a lot of different contexts. And that style to your communication might change the style to your voice, but you're still you. You still have your story. You still have the substance of your life. You still have your soul. It's finding out first, what is your voice? What is that distinct, unique sound that you have? Here's 2 truths. Number 1, your voice is your selling point. Your voice is your selling point. People can find better stuff from, about what you want to teach on somewhere else. Like, I'm not being offensive, but there are far better speakers out there and communicators that, that can do a far better job than you or I, and that's totally cool. But guess what? No one can do what you do. No one can speak in the way you speak. No one can speak from the places you can speak from, because that's your voice. That belongs to you. People can find anything, anywhere, but they can only find your voice that comes from you. So you should treasure your voice. You should find that, protect it, and wield it. So your voice is your selling point. Secondly, your voice is what people want to hear. Like, when people listen to you, most of the time, I'm sure, it's because they want to hear it. They want to hear that voice. They want to hear those stories. They want to hear that context. They want to hear from you about what they need to learn or what they're asking for. People want to hear it from you. The soul in your speech draws people in. Not necessarily how good you do it, not necessarily your content, but your voice is what people are looking for, and that draws people in. Here's the truth. Many speakers want to be like other people. They see someone being successful somewhere else and they want to do that. They think, I'm going to copy that. Tony Robbins, I want to copy that. Brené Brown, I want to copy that. But there's a problem with that, because when they emulate it, when they copy it, they can't do as good as a job as they do, because they're not them. They carry a different voice. So it never lives up to the original. You can either be a voice or an echo. You could either be a voice or an echo. Now, you need to be a voice, and I'm gonna show you how you can find that voice, especially through your handout in a minute. You're either a voice or an echo. Think about what an echo is. An echo is a repeat. It's a repetition of an original. But the problem is with an echo is it diminishes over time. It gets less powerful. And more importantly, it gets less clear. It loses that clarity and that volume. whereas people know instantly when it's a voice or an echo. One time my little girl ran away from me in a crowd in a shopping centre, and she ran off, and I was running after her, stopping, because she's just so well behaved sometimes. It's fantastic. And I said, come back, and I shouted her name. And as soon as I did, as soon as I shouted her name, she stopped and said, "Daddy, where are you?" Because she hadn't realised she'd lost sight of me, but she knew my voice. And because she knew my voice, she stopped, turned around, and I was able to get to her, pick her up, and give her a really encouraging message about listening to what Daddy says. Your voice will stop people in their tracks because they recognise it to you. They're familiar with that, and it draws them back. Please don't be a copy. Please don't be a second-rate someone else. Be a first-rate you. Be a voice, not an echo. Okay, how do you find your voice? You're like, Ben, I'm new at this, or I've been around here for a while and I'm not sure what my voice is. Very easy. 3 ways you can identify what your voice is. Number 1, your story. Story. What is your story? What's your background? Where are you from? What are the relationships in your life? What are the key events in your life that made you you, that you remember even from years ago? What are those things that have become chapters and bookmarks in your life up until now? Your personal experience, your home life as a child. What in your story is different than other people's story? What makes your journey in this life unique? Identify that. Find that out. And it might give you a clue to the first piece in the puzzle. Identify what your story is. What's your story? The second thing is sound. Sound. What does my how distinct and unique is my speaking voice? You'll notice that I have a very posh British accent. If you're watching that's sarcasm and it's a lie. Okay, I don't speak Queen's English. Okay, I don't do that. I'm from the north of England. We have a hearty sort of salt of the earth accent. I'm not going to change that. Okay, there was a time where someone told me you really need to change that northern accent to reach more people. I disagree with that because the sound of my voice is distinct to me and people will recognize that. I'm not trying to be an echo. I'm trying to lean into my individuality because that's where my voice is. That's where my substance is. That's who I am. And you'll notice comedians like Joe Pasquale, and if you don't know who that is, Google him. He has got a crazy voice. Joe Pasquale is a hilarious comedian. Lee Evans is the same. A zany voice. But when they speak, you know it's them. Should they get rid of it? Should they dull that accent down? The sound of their voice, the accent, the pitch, no. Lean into it. Embrace it. Because that's part of you establishing what your voice is. Sound. And lastly, soul. We've got story, sound, and soul. Now, soul is a little bit less tangible, and it's more about examining your heart. In the scriptures, in the Hebrew and Jewish scriptures, it talks a lot about soul, and the word soul, psyche, is the same word psychology, psyche for heart, for mind. So soul is about your heart and it's about your mind. What do you truly care about? What is it that if you had one last voicemail to send to your friends and family, to your kids or grandkids, whatever, what would be on that voicemail? If there was one last thing you could tell them, what would it be? What brings your soul alive? What could you talk for England about? What would be the last thing you would say to your friends and family? Your passion, your personal dreams. Story, sound, soul. Those 3 things come together and give you an opportunity to try and establish what is your voice. Have a look at the handout. There's a great exercise you can do on that to do a little bit more work. Number 1 thing, don't be an echo, be a voice, because the world needs to hear you speak.